One, two, one, two. 1 2 1 2. 1 2 1 2.
Gotcha.
Yes. 1 2 1 2. 1 2 1 2. What's up, blatantly? We're gonna try to service you. All right. What's up, everybody? It's Day Sun Civil. Sun Civil Media. Sun Civil Media. I was about to say Civil Days Music. Sun Civil Media. And we are here today with another music producer spotlight. That's right. Make sure everybody hit them likes. Just trying to get this camera adjusted. You know, technical difficulties right before. All right. There we go. All right. So everybody, I want to welcome you to Sun Civil Media. This is the Music Producer Spotlight. I would like to call it the Spotlight. This is a show where we take the opportunity to talk to up-and-coming producers, not just up-and-coming producers, but we talk to all kinds of people, all people that are doing things great. We're going to be talking to people that are in the tech space. We're going to be talking to people that are in music. We're going to be talking to people that are in, religion, all things, people that help. This is a show that's going to really span and move into different places. But right now we're focusing on the music producer. This is the Music Producer Spotlight, where we do two things. Either we bring people down to give us information, kind of like a ladder. I told y'all Saturday I'm like a ladder. So you can climb up and climb down. If that sounds bad, pause. What's up, Najee? So, at the same time, we're also going to bring people up so that, like if you got projects and you're really working hard and you're doing things, we want to promote you. We got an audience of 4,100 some odd people. So we want to thank everyone that has subscribed, people that have joined and they follow the channel. So here's what I want to do. I want to introduce someone that's an accomplished musician, an accomplished music producer, a singer, a songwriter, someone who's in the R&B space. At the same time, trying to branch off into other areas. Also has been a session musician as well. Does some recording in the recording studio as well as in his home. Who I want to welcome you to is someone who released a song that's fire during the pandemic, but also released an instrumental album as well. I want to introduce none other than someone that I call a cool guy and a friend, none other than DC Carson. Let's give DC Carson a round of applause, everybody. All right, let me turn this down. DC, why don't you introduce yourself to everyone so they can get to know who you are? Your volume's off. Yep, no volume. Nope. No volume. Ain't it crazy? Everything was working just before we got to this point.
I know.
There we go.
How about a little bit now? All right.
We got you. There you go.
All right. So yeah, the technical difficulties, that stuff happens. So anyway, my name is DC Carson. I do music. I'm a music producer. In a former life, I'm a retired military. Have done a lot of different things, but music has been my passion. You can find me on Instagram, DC Carson Music. You can also find me on YouTube, DC Carson Music, and I'll be dropping more videos. I kind of took a little hiatus from doing the videos, but you'll see more. As well as you can find me on all streaming platforms under DC Carson Music. I can play, instruments. I produce, record. I like old school gear, new school gear. I'm originally from Tuskegee, Alabama, and that's gonna come into play when we get to talking about these questions. So, thank you, brother, for having me, and I look forward to talking to each and every one of you in the future.
All right, all right, all right. All right, so that's DC Carson, everybody. If my mic's not right, if everything's not where it's supposed to be, please let me know so that we can keep these interviews going flowing the right way. Well, you did introduce yourself and you talked about being in the military. Okay. Can you tell me, with your military background and your experience, how did that shape your approach to music, life, and ultimately, you know, all the things and career things you were able to do? The vocals, yeah, it's out again.
We good?
We good.
All right. So the thing about the military, and I was a military officer, that you don't know what you're going to get faced with. So you have to be able to adapt and overcome whatever you face. And matter of fact, I was a helicopter pilot. So just even learning how to fly a helicopter, because the first time I was in a helicopter in my life, I was flying it.
Hmm.
And you have to learn so many different things in a short amount of time, and you have to be proficient because again, lives are at stake. And so that's the same thing with music, is that a lot of times people will have a tendency to say, I'm just going to learn how to play piano, I'm going to learn how to do something, I'm going to play the bass. But as a producer, you may be asked to do, who knows what. You might be troubleshooting something on the computer, you might be trying to figure out what this chord is, you might just be doing a lot of different things. Let's say you have to let's say you get a new piece of gear and there's a learning curve to that. So that was the thing, is that having that military background, being able to tackle a lot of different things and not have the fear that it's going to beat you, to be able to be patient with yourself long enough for you to be able to learn the concept of what you're doing and be functional.
Now, I've talked to a couple of musicians who are also in the military, and one of the things that was really consistent with them was their discipline, as well as their drive. You know,
Hmm.
they just have a no nonsense, like I'm not going to quit. I'm not going to, I'm gonna focus on this, and I'm gonna really accomplish what I set out to do. A real good drive. How did that help you to transition, being so disciplined and coming from that disciplined environment? Were there any specific skills or lessons that you learned as you were in the military?
Don't give up. I mean, at
Hmm.
the end of the day, is it doesn't matter how big the tree is, you got to get out there and chop it. And so a lot of times people will face stuff and they'll fail at it and like, I'm not getting it, I'm not getting it, I'm not getting it. But at the end of the day, is if you continue to do it, don't give up. And then there's a thing called pacing yourself. A lot of things that we wanted to make it a sprint, but it's really a marathon. So, like for example, when I first was running, like in high school, I played football. I could run, 50 yards, 100 yards, I can do it. But running 2 miles, 5 miles, I hated it. So then
Hmm.
I had to kind of change how I thought to be able to navigate, running long distances or just taking on, distances with stress. A lot of different stuff that you will find of having to deal with in the military. So that's what it helped me to do, is to be able to not be afraid of a challenge. A lot of people will fail because they keep just falling on their face. But folks, that's part of life. You're gonna fall. But if you
Hmm.
keep on going, you got that thing. So that's what I learned.
And I would say, like, you know, kind of relating that to this YouTube space where, one day it's up, one day it's down. Sometimes it seems like you're really trying to get through to a certain level. Even, we're talking about music, even the music, you know, people are wanting placements. Some people want, for people to see them, to recognize them as a talented artist or a musician or a writer. And that discipline needs to come into play, as well as I deal with it sometimes. You put a video out and you sit there and you're like, man, why did nobody like this video? Why did nobody like that video? But then I've learned sometimes it's the pacing of the video. It's the pacing of my expectations, the pacing of how can I accomplish certain things, and putting the drive to it. Um, when was it that you made the transition? Well, let me ask this question first. While you were in the military, were you doing music?
I was doing a little bit. There was a time where I actually had an assignment that gave me a little more wiggle room to do music.
Hmm.
But when I was heavy flying, oh no, I couldn't because it was one, it was wide open. I might do a little bit here there, but
Right.
when I was on flying status, initially learning to fly, because the first helicopter, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you loud
Yeah,
and
the
clear.
first helicopter I flew was armed reconnaissance. So you didn't just have to learn how to fly it, you had to learn how to use it, because you could have missiles or machine gun or stuff on it. So you have to be able to fly and do all the other stuff, target ID, all that good stuff. So there's a lot that went into it. But when I moved over to Blackhawks, that gave me a little more. Not saying the Blackhawk by any means is easy. It's a wonderful aircraft, but eventually that gave me time to get back into doing a little bit of music, and just off and on I would do little things like I've been a sound director at the church, all that kind of stuff. So I would basically still do music, especially, being a husband and dad, you got to fit everything in. So, that
Hmm.
time management, I might not have had as much time to do music, but I still would do a little bit.
Okay, okay, that's good. That's good. It's glad to hear that. So, because a lot of us, that work life balance, trying to navigate and um, basically, bring family in, talk to family, and as well as try to pursue music and pursue your, supporting your family and working and things of that nature. It's hard to do it all, but you have
Right,
to do
right,
it. And I got to say, props out to family. Anybody that's with a musician, props out to you, because it can be very hard being with the musician. I give much
right.
respect to my wife and props to her. Um, um, I'm just looking at Facebook just to see who's there as well as Twitch. My question is, let's transition to your early childhood. Okay.
Okay.
So when did you first fall in love with music?
I think it was day one. I mean, the minute you hear a note, you fall in love with
Right.
it. So as early as I can remember, I liked music. I would listen to it, family around the house. We would listen to all kind of different things, from Dionne Warwick, the Tops, all the old school things. And I just fell in love then. And then, of course, going to church and you hear music. So it was just from day one, as far as I can remember, music has always been in my life.
Okay. Switching a little bit, a lot of people get their earlier influences in church. So is that where you got yours as well, as far as the earlier influence
As
to
far as
music?
performing, singing, yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it was it that it was definitely in church, though I
Mm-hmm.
did have, people in my family that could do a little bit of music as well. So, but primarily church.
Okay. So what was the first time you entertained someone or something like that?
Well, if you want to know the first time that I realized I really wanted to do music,
Yeah.
the first time I realized that was me being downtown Tuskegee, and the Commodores were performing on the back of a flatbed trailer, and they were singing, and I was like, I want to do that. I mean, so you had the Lionel Richie, because my dad went to high school with Lionel Richie, all that good stuff, and you saw them all there, and it was just it was just that magical. I mean, you think about all the songs, how many songs that the Commodores came out with, or Lionel Richie, that
Hmm.
were the soundtrack of most people's lives. So it was then when I saw that, I was like, oh no, I got to do it. I think my problem was I enjoyed every single instrument from the horns to the bass, Ron LaPrade being on the bass, all that good stuff.
Hmm.
Lionel Richie on the keys, all that good stuff. So I just wanted to play everything.
Good. So that kind of hits the both questions I was going to ask. Like, what particular artist or genre did you connect with the most as a child? And I guess that would be R&B.
Hmm.
And your biggest influence, you just stated, was the Commodores when you saw them as
Hmm.
well. Any other influences that kind of shaped and molded your who you are?
I think when you got my teenage years, you get into it was Babyface. Really enjoyed like Keith Sweat. Those
Mm.
two albums, Make It Last Forever, and the Babyface coming out. Those were good. So I would say those two. But of course, as an artist, you and listening to production, you can't be a kid from the '70s and
Yeah,
being a teenager in the '80s and not be Michael Jackson somewhere in there.
right.
So and then seeing hip hop, I think I've just remember back in the day we would go and see whenever they came, like I saw the Fat Boys in concert, I seen Cool Mo D, Ron DMC, but I also seen New Edition and all that kind of stuff. So
Hmm.
just a lot of different pieces. Of course, when hip hop hit the scene, everybody was on it. I seen Dougie Fresh, all that good stuff. And just fell in love with LL, all of that. Seen some of the great scene, just fell in love because for me, it wasn't so much, like some people like to rap and stuff like that. And I'm not gonna by any means say I'm a rapper, but to me, it was always about taking a good groove and just making something to feel. And the thing that I like about music that, you know, an artist that's able to take music and use the 3D space, use your left right with panning, use your depth, your backward forward, and basically have all the emotions of it. So whatever, if a song, I mean, of course, even then listening to like Bon Jovi, stuff like that, anything that was able to take up space, musical space, and just use it in like colors and stuff like that, I was into it.
I agree with that. In our household, we listened to everything. I mean, it was opera, rock, soca, reggae, classical. It just didn't matter. We listened to everything, and you really developed a understanding, or just a love, a passion, especially like
Right,
something as simple as going to school. You got the radio playing as you're getting ready, so you're hearing all the
right,
music and the songs, and it has your spirit up. Like even as an adult, a song comes on, and I think back to being a child
right.
and stuff like that. Um, with that being said, and those being your influences, about what time did you really come into like saying, okay, I want to play this instrument or I want to play that instrument, um, or was your voice just the instrument at that time?
Well, man, I ain't gonna lie. Back to keep it real, it's that as well as I know one thing about it is that we will play an instrument, but for some reason, when it comes to our voice, we get a little nervous with using it.
Mm-hmm.
You can still hear me good?
Yeah, loud and clear.
Okay. So I wouldn't sing as much though in the choir, but I definitely would play different instruments. And it was weird because somebody will hand me an instrument or give me an instrument and I learned how to play it. I tried to take piano lessons, it just didn't work because it was so structured and it was kind of like, it wasn't, I wanted to get straight to the feel of the notes, even though, I would always recommend somebody to go back and get the basics. But it was like I started playing piano. I played the drums. Somebody gave me a trumpet. I learned how to play that. They gave me a bass guitar. Learned how to play that. They gave me another guitar. Learned how to play that. When I got to junior high, they wouldn't let me play the drums. It was like you need to play the trombones. I was like, all right, bet. Learn how to play the trombone. And then being in the orchestra, I eventually, well, I also in the second grade, I learned how to play violin.
Wow.
And then by the time I got to junior high and got to orchestra, these doggone, I hate these things, man, but they work. I actually wind up learning how to play everything in the orchestra.
Wow.
That they let me do that, and then that's when I realized, all right, dude, you got got a gift to be able to know how to play different things. And I still play a bunch of stuff. Like even now, I like the whole thing of learning an instrument, learning and just getting the tonality out of it and the emotions out of it. So that has never left.
Blatantly. Hold on one second. Sorry.
No
But
problem.
yeah, the fact that you're a multi instrumentalist is very cool to hear someone talk about the ability to play different instruments, and that also speaks to character because that's a lot of different areas to go into. You know, a lot of challenges to face as well. And then to say, "Oh, I'm gonna pick up this instrument," or if someone said, "You know, you have a desire to do something," but they say, "No, I think you'd be better if you go here," and still be able to pick that up. So I think that speaks to, you know, like you going into the military and things like that, as well as being able to. Sometimes everybody wants to be free, but sometimes some people you have to be able to take instruction. You have to be able to center yourself, and I do think playing instruments teaches you a level of discipline that you listen to things differently. You talk to people differently. You understand things differently. I'll give an example. We were in the car and I was playing Najee with my daughter. I was taking her to dance. And I was telling her, I said, man, I said, we grew up on this. I said, then the music came in and she said, Daddy, where's the words? And I said, the saxophone is the words. And I said, when they playing, I said, it's a conversation. I said, people don't think of it like that. I said, when the piano, she said, well, when the piano first started, she said, that was a conversation. I said, yes. And I said, it's kind of like what Smokey Robinson would say, you would hum the melody. And then all of a sudden, after humming the melody, then that's when the words would come. And then I started humming the melody, and then the words came, and we kept rewinding, playing it back, and coming up with words. And she caught it so quick because she plays the drums, she plays piano,
Mm.
even though sometimes she wants to give it up. Kids always go through that. But yeah, I really understand that as well. So that hunger and that drive. So I'm thinking not only you did concert band, you did band, and you're also in church as well. So I know that has to drive a lot of your influences. At this point in your life, who are your influences?
Um, to be honest, I don't really have any one particular person that's an influence
Hmm.
because I already have that base of stuff. It's really just watching people do something, innovative,
Right.
watching people really step out there and do it. And in this space where, back in the day, you could just release an album. It took a whole lot to get into a studio,
Hmm.
let alone release a record or tape, or even back in the CD days. But to me, what I admire is the whole process now. The
Right.
whole ability to like get your music straight from home or on an iPhone. It's a recording studio. Because again, when I was in the back in the day, if you got a 4-track recorder, you were lucky. I mean, you're really lucky.
Yeah.
So the ability to be able to record on your phone and get it. So I would say the bedroom producers, the bedroom artists, the stuff where they can take it and go viral. That's kind of stuff that I really like,
Okay.
and that's inspiring to me. Of
That,
course, just thinking the church, my church experience is because I think, these days, not a lot of people are playing instruments. And
hmm.
so you still church. I mean, you go in there and there's no feeling. They don't, you know, they like the Lord, but you got to be able to sing too. So
Yeah.
at the end of the day is I still like that aspect of going in there and hearing people blend, hearing the musicians do what they got to do, be proficient. Because regardless of what it is, and I like all you see all the electric stuff, electronic stuff I got there. It's still nothing like live music.
Yeah, yeah. I love live music, and even the albums that are formed with live musicians or musicians playing the instruments. What I want to do right now is I want to give some relevance, ladies and gentlemen. We're on here with a musician. We're on here with a singer. We're here with a composer and an arranger. His name is DC Carson. What I want to do is I want to take a moment for us to listen to some of his music. I'm going to play his song. It's called Retail Therapy. All right, give me 1 second. man, that's a dope groove right there.
Appreciate that.
Retail therapy. Let's give that a round of applause. Yes, yes.
Appreciate that, bro.
I love the groove. I love the melody. I love the vocals. I love the falsetto. Everything is so. That was dope. Can you tell the premise behind the song and give us a little details about it?
All right, so during COVID, everybody was locked down and couldn't really do stuff. So I would just listen to people talk about like what they want to do. They couldn't wait when we wouldn't lock down. They could go out and eat and stuff. And then, I was listening to this one lady. She was saying, "I just miss shopping. I just want to go out and shop. I want some retail therapy." And I was like,
Mm,
"Oh, all right. I tell you what, I'm finna sit here and snatch that out and put it together." And so
mm,
one day when it was like really where you couldn't really go out and do a whole lot, I said, "All right, it's been a long time since I had recorded a song. I mean, understand from the last time I recorded a song where I sang in that one, it was over 10 years.
mm-hmm.
So I got in there, I was like, all right, let's just do it. And it came out and
Wow.
I was happy of the whole concept of the song.
Yeah. No, it's real. It's smooth. I love the melodies. It's got that. I mean, it just has a how do I want to say? I want to say a warm feeling to it. You know what I mean? A genuine feeling to it, and I really like that. So if y'all want to hear music like that, you can check out his Spotify at DC Carson Music, and you also can go to his YouTube at DC Carson Music. I have the links in the description as well. My
Appreciate
guy blatantly, he's like that's super smooth.
it.
Yeah, that's what we all thought when we first heard it. We was like, man, this is a real nice groove right here. Um,
Appreciate
let-
it.
no problem. Us get back into some of the questions right here. So we've talked about your your military background, which
Hmm.
gave you the discipline as well as taught you pacing. How to kind of slow things down and to take a moment to get everything working in a particular direction. Then your early childhood is all these influences. You have school where you were and I have to say that's something that's missing today in some areas. There's no music programs or things of that nature. I'm a student of music programs, played the drums, things of that nature. But you became a multi instrumentalist. You had the church background, you had the school background. So now you have all these things taking place. Do you start making your own music and pursuing your own that dream that we all have at some point?
I did. Now I had a break in the military service.
Mm-hmm.
And so from 94 to 98, I was in the Air Force, and I was initially a crew chief. Basically, I worked on aircraft. I worked on one of the biggest aircraft in the world. And my mom got sick, and so I had to in order to be close to her, I had to take another assignment where I was in finance, and I hated finance. So
Mm.
anyway, unfortunately, she wound up passing. Just was like, you know what, I'm done. I want to get out the military. So I said, I want to get out the military. I went to Nashville. And I went to Nashville and was working in the music industry. Just little odds at end. And I went from doing well, meeting everybody, the whinings, all that good stuff, to
Wow.
flat out broke like a joke.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all hear me laughing because the story didn't end that way. I mean, at that time I had no degree, nothing. But I mean, we looking at it now, it's like I'm retired military pilot, master's degree, all that good stuff. But I hit rock bottom trying to chase that dream of doing music. And what I realized is because the music industry, folks don't realize you can make the hottest track you want to. You're not gonna make no money unless you can market it. So I
Mm-hmm.
went back and got my bachelor's in marketing. And I would tell anybody, you gotta know how to market your stuff.
Right.
So that dive into music, I didn't necessarily try to do my own project, but I did work with people, and it was fun. But being broke taught me something. Hitting the thing, car repossessed, living in an apartment, no electricity, having to cut your hair when you got the power back on. That taught me something is that you have to want this.
Mm-hmm.
There are people in Nashville literally living in their car and that are washing dishes at Waffle House and still going out here and playing in bars and other places, or walking up to where some of these studios and basically, just singing and playing their guitar. You have to be hungry, folks. At the end of
Mm-hmm.
the day, is you got to get used to know. So I learned a lot in that. Some people call it the valley, but the
Mm-hmm.
thing is, I always tell folks, being on the mountaintop is cool, but nothing grows on the top of the mountain. It grows in the valley.
That's right.
So when you're going through them tough times, man, just keep going because it's teaching you a lesson. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
not, so a lot of people, like I hear my music for years because I was like, nobody's gonna like my voice, X, Y, and Z, versus being, it's almost like if you see a female you like, you can sit back and goo goo gaga all day. That don't get you nowhere. You at least got to go say hi, because if you stay back in the background, you already got no in your pocket. Just
Right.
go say hi. And I wound up meeting a lot of people that were in the music business simply because I wasn't afraid to go talk to them. Hey, what's going on? So and so, blah blah blah, and ask, and I would just ask them questions. I don't want nothing from you. I just want information. And a lot of
Right.
times they give you more than that.
Wow. I like that. That was a good, especially about going in the valley and but you do have to shoot your shot. You do have to go after your dreams. You have to be. I mean, there are so many people that you have to believe in yourself when nobody believes in you. You got to carry that charge, and you have to say, "I'm going to pursue this regardless of whatever's going on. If I believe this gift was given me, I have to pursue it." Okay, so you went to Nashville. You're there. You're a session musician, and you're working with people, and you're meeting a lot of people. I know that had to put in the moment of going through it. What was the turnaround period, or what helped you to turn around to do something different? Was it you just left it alone, or what was that the turnaround period?
I had to walk away from it for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I still did little things and tried to work with folks, but I had to step away from the whole, the producer grind, I'll call it. Not saying that I didn't do music, but
Mm-hmm.
step away from it and reevaluate, like really what I want to do. Because one of the things is you can't, you 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 can only look at one thing at a time. You
Mm-hmm.
cannot focus on your eyes. You can see it'll be blurry, but you cannot focus on one more than one thing at a time. So I had to say, let me get back to the basics, and what do I want to do? And it really was producing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a desire to be an artist. I put that music out because I thought it was a cool song, and there was nobody else that was gonna sing it. So I decided to sing it. But that's a lot of times where I just wanted to put something out that I wanted to hear. I want to put something out that I thought that other people, it would resonate with people. And that's where I'm at now, where it was just like, just stop trying to figure out what everybody else want, what everybody else think, and just freaking put it out. And so once I had that metamorphosis of just, because a lot of my equipment, I had got rid of it and then started building. And I mean, I got stuff now, but that was it. I had to reset and get back to square one. But it was getting back to square one, more so internally, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually than anything.
Mm-hmm. So, with saying that, um, how was your spirituality at this time, and did it help, hurt, move, push? What what was that period like in terms of your spirituality?
Oh man. So here's the thing. In Nashville, I had the only bed I had was this blow up mattress, the 99 cent. It was actually a pool float. And basically what happened is, but it got a leak in it. So I would blow it up, go to sleep, and then wake up on hardwood floor
Mm,
because the air would go out of it. And I would do it over and over again each night. And so years later, I was just kind of reflecting on that thing of how many times do we just say forget it?
mm-hmm.
How many times it's that thing of realizing, hey, I might have comfort through the night, and then I might have that hard floor at that point. But the bottom line is I'm going to keep going. I'm gonna enjoy it when it's comfortable, and I'm gonna enjoy that hard floor because all of that was just things. Now I look back on it, it changed me. It was shaping me. It was, I mean, we use the term iron sharpens iron, one to another, but
Mm-hmm.
in order for iron to be sharpened, one piece of iron must be sharper than the other, and there's going to be
Absolutely.
friction. And so
Right.
I had to get used to, hey, that sparks, or get used to different things going on in my life. Was there a low point? Absolutely. Absolutely was a low point, because it's like, why am I going through this? I'm trying to get here. But what I realized is that, like the movie Karate Kid, and Daniel
Mm-hmm.
was asking, "Why am I washing your cars? Why am I doing this?" And he just got fed up, and then Mr. Miyagi went over there and started showing them wax on, wax off, all that good stuff. And that's when I realized, all right, all these things is because sitting here learning music, that's the easy stuff.
Right.
Navigating people is another thing, but
Woo,
navigating yourself is that's a whole different ball
woo.
game.
It's crazy because it is. So I've always told people I was like, we sit down and we some of us are introverts and we sit here and we learn this stuff and we learn the equipment and then we're scared to go meet with the people that we've learned this stuff for. This stuff is not for us. It is for other people. It's to share. It's to give emotions. Like I always tell people, and a lot of people always refute me. Some people refute me, and I was like, at the time I grew up, the Mary J. Blige "My Life" album, that album helped so many people. Every time I turn around, if I talk to someone and bring up my life, a young woman or who's now older will say that album helped me out through a hard period. That's the goal, is to touch people's lives with this music. It's not to be some old rough tough thing. At the same time, it is to effectively change people's lives, and that is the whole point of music. um so were you actively like in church and doing things like that, on your on your basic your mental and spiritual comeback?
I've always kind of been in church,
Mm-hmm.
going in there, but sometimes, even when you're just because you're in the garage, don't mean you're a car. And so I went through those.
That's a good one.
So So I had to go through those phases of, I'm here because I'm supposed to, more like, the whole fire insurance
Right.
thing of going there. Yeah, I just had a point where I was kind of like, shake your fist up at God, why am I here? You
Mm-hmm.
know, and 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 then just being to a point where the thing is, as young men, we have to, hey, we all know we got something, that there's a saying that you'll never be Superman till you know what your kryptonite is.
Mm-hmm.
I know what mine are. Most men know what their kryptonite is.
Right.
And when you start to sit back and say, hey, when you start realizing some of your habits or mindsets are bad for you, and it's not all, some preachy, churchy thing where people tell you stuff, but that you really have to unpack to
Right.
being transformed by the renewing of your mind.
Mm-hmm.
Then that's when I started to come out of that thing and really have the relationship with Christ, but also have because of that's just one piece, having to have a relationship with myself and forgive
Mm-hmm.
myself for the things that I've done, my failures and all that, and say, hey, this is day one. Let's get it.
Right. 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 I totally agree. I was telling I went on live yesterday and I was just talking to everybody and I was like talking about how you got people that run away from God. I'm not trying to make this a God moment, but we here. People try to run away. How can you run away? How can you run away from him? There's nothing you can run away from. You can try your best. You can try your best, but he always gonna. If he wants you, he's gonna pull you back into his presence. So, I was telling them, I said everything I have does not belong to me. It belongs to him. It belongs to him. You know what I mean? Look at all the. It's crazy how you don't understand the circumstances and situations and problems that you go through, and then only to finally realize you're going to encounter someone and then you have to talk about the things that you've been through and how you overcame the situation. Even down to maybe I was in the situation where I had to play for these people and this happened while I was playing for them, and next thing you know, something else happened out of. But the other person is like, I don't know how to move to the next level. I don't know how to do this, and then you utter something that helps them move to the next level. So that's why with every chance I get, I'm gonna share a little something that's going to try to encourage someone. You know, one thing I would like to say, and I want to ask is, what's your favorite instrument?
I'm a drum machine dude, man. I love drum machine. You can look behind and there's the ASR 10 and the old
Mm,
school MPC and all that good stuff. And I love drum machines.
right.
That's just something about it all. And then I would say followed by keyboard. Um, and pretty much just after that, it's kind of a tie between bass and electric guitar, all that good stuff and whatever else. But yeah, drum machines all day.
Okay.
Because if
All
you
right.
don't have the rhythm, you're not going nowhere.
That's right. If you don't have no rhythm, where you going?
Right. That's the heartbeat. Your heart stop is over.
Yeah. One thing I want to do, I want to go back to his page. He's on Spotify. He's on all the social media platforms, as well as streaming services and things of that nature. Let's take a look back at his YouTube page and play another one of his songs from an instrumental album that he released earlier last year. All right, let's do that. Let's do more than enough. All right, DC. That was called Ride in Reels. It's on Spotify. It's also on YouTube. There's an instrumental album that he came out with. We're gonna play some more tracks from that as we go throughout the interview. Can you tell us what was the
Right.
inspiration behind the instrumental album?
The main thing behind it was um the main thing it was that I wanted to put some music together, just had a different kind of feel, and it was really serving two purposes. One, just to just put some instrumental stuff out there that I like. Two, it was to because I want to get into the sync market of syncing music. So what better way is that I've got music out there? Because like
Mm-hmm.
I'll give you an example. Like a lot of people will put stuff on like sites where people can lease your beats and stuff like that, and I'm like, okay, well, if I put it out there, then all it's going to kind of do is just sit there. And if somebody hears it, they hear it. But if I'm out here, I can at least have the track earning some revenue
Mm-hmm.
and I can understand the process of releasing digitally, all that good stuff. So it was a learning process, not just of putting the music out there, but it was also of making the music, but it was also the process of putting it out there. So I just wanted to put something out there that I can start using for sync. If somebody hears it and they're like, hey, you know what? I wouldn't mind being able to work out a deal. Artists use that track, all that good stuff. And then it's just kind of that personal thing of where I just wanted to do something. Uh, Put it like this, bro. You know how it is. If you go in there, you probably got like 200, 300 some song sitting in
Mm-hmm.
a hard drive somewhere, and it's not doing you no good there.
That's
So
right.
my thing was, I might as well take the music instead of just letting it sit on the hard drive. And I have TuneCore, which I like, and I can put as much music as I want out there. So it's like, why let this music sit on your hard drive? Let's just put it out there and see what happens. So that's why I did it.
Right. Like, and that's another thing I said to the gentlemen that I was talking to on yesterday. Like 2025, this is, this is the season, the time where you just don't listen to the naysayers, don't listen to the, all the things that we're hearing about independent music and the distros and things of that nature and streaming. Just put your music out there, draw some type of attention to yourself. Especially I know that's my goal this year to find some sync placements and get out there and do some different things. Um, also, you talked about drum machines and things of that nature. So, what's your favorite drum machine?
All right. So of course I'm gonna say MPC 3K. Probably I think that's got the best pads, best sound, classic. It's just a all great around the outs, the ability. It's just one of the most powerful drum machines. I love it. And then I think but the truth is if you ask me what my most modern favorite drum machine, it's gonna be the MPC Live 2. That thing
Live
is
too.
fire.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Portable. Got a speaker. Got everybody
Right.
saying, "Can you put a speaker on the keyboard? A speaker on a SP." It's got everybody wanting a speaker, but and not only that, it's the menu options, the ability to put a song together quickly, and things of that nature. It's a good device. So, what instruments or what was the process, even down to software? What did you use to create? What did you use to create? Period, and then what did you use to create your instrumental album?
So normally things are gonna start with normally it will start with me making a beat in the MPC.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can do that with the MPC one, you can sit there and do that while you make watching the football game or something like that. You can just kind of go there. Then I would take the beat into Cubase. Now I have Pro Tools and stuff, and I've used Pro Tools and all that good stuff. But the reality is that the thing about Cubase, to be straight up, is the granddaddy of them all.
Right.
Cubase, being that I had Cubase back when on the Atari 1040 ST days and used it, and so I just went back into Cubase, and Cubase has the because Pro Tools is more recording, it's not more for recording and producing, it's more so recording. But I wanted something that I could do all of it in, so I just went into Cube. But I would do the drums in Cubase. I'm sorry, MPC Live too. Stem them out, bring them into Cubase, and then I'd finish them up with, let's say, the Rolling SoundCloud. I like those.
Mm-hmm.
Arturia. I like a lot of the stuff in Arturia is fire.
Right.
And mainly those two, and then I might use like some guitars and things like that. Like um, the a lot of the guitars you hear came out of from playing, but then there also some came out of native instrument stuff. I had
Yeah.
a complete, so I just enjoy whatever sounds good. Let's just go for it. But will tell you this. Let me keep this thing, folks. You don't have to have all that.
You know.
Sometimes will suffer with what's called choice overload, or if you have too much. If you have too many things to make it to decide on, you won't decide on anything. There's a
That's
choice
true.
overload.
That's
So
true.
while I have that, I've got my staples, and then I may play around with stuff. So yeah, Cubase, and then drums, MPC Live, some of even the VSTs for MC PC Live, and then a few other nice VSTs.
Okay. Do you have like a favorite VST of them all? A go to, I should say more than a favorite.
Believe it or not, my go-to VST, the two I go to outside the box is Fabric XL,
Mm-hmm.
but to go to, hold on one second, I'm gonna pull it out. Something I got back and I've had since the 90s, and it's this
Oh wow.
JV 1080. But the thing is, I they have it as a VST in the SoundCloud.
Mm-hmm.
So now I will tell you the thing about JB 1080. JB 1080 was one of those things where Teddy Riley used that in the 2080s, and he would have stacks and stacks of them. I like to use that, but then I also have the Korg. I also like to use the Triton plugins. I'm sorry, folks. Yes, there's new stuff out there, but
Yeah,
those old instruments, it's just something about 'em.
yeah. I was just listening. I listened to Bolo and DJ Pay One. I listened to someone else, and we are on one of our lives as well. I was talking with the producers, and they were saying it's funny how with Ghetto Styles when he was on, we were talking about the tape hiss, and we talking about all the stuff that we thought was a nuisance that really made our sound a little bit muddy. They said all the young producers are using all these emulation software tools to kind of bring some of that muddiness back and that hiss and that saturation and things that was on their records back. Um, this also leads me to ask this question. You worked as a session musician. You also work in your home. What is your preference? Home recording or working inside of a studio?
If home, I like home because you can stop, you can still have life within it. But then I will say there's a benefits of going to studio and doing stuff. But the truth be told, these days, I mean, unless you're like doing something major, major,
Hmm.
it's hard to find most studios are in a home anyway. So I home all the way.
I've even watched a couple of YouTube videos where they're just talking about the number of recording studios that are closing because so many people have studios in their home now. It's like they don't have to go outside unless they finally got that big project and they're getting ready to do something big.
Right. Well, I'll tell you, like when I was in Nashville, Pro Tools just came out. Now you gotta remember when the computer back then was like 100 megahertz and maybe have 2 megabytes, not gigabytes, 2 or 4 megabytes in there.
Hmm.
So you really of memory. So you really couldn't do much other than sequencing and mild audio. And then you eventually could move into when they came out with the HD, excuse me, the HD cards, all that good stuff, is when you could start getting more power. But then the thing though, because I've had ADAT, because I've been around, I mean, since tape days to, you would use ADATs, and the DA88s by Tascam, and then it just got more and more where you started having the ability to do digital at home. And the sad thing is we were in this race to make everything sound good. Now we're in the race to make it dirty again.
Hmm. Definitely. I watched a video throughout the week. I think it's Bill Hume or something like that. He was talking about his progression of making music
Hmm.
from the 70s until now, and he's like Pro Tools and all the digital audio workstations became cool. He said because you didn't have to you could do everything on the spot, make all your changes, do all these different takes. He said, but then
Hmm.
something led him to go back to his tape recordings and he went 17 years old and he had a TIAC reel to reel. I'm like, what? At 17? So he recorded his band and he played the reels and it sounded so good. I was like, man, I said, man, this sounds amazing. But he was just talking about how the pacing of recording now as opposed then. He said you used to have to wait for the reels to rewind. He said you could leave out, go get some coffee, think. He said your ears would change, or get settled again so that because you've been listening, they weren't so tired. Then when you came back in and you recorded again, he was like you were refreshed. He said now you just keep going, um, which was something that was amazing to me just to see the differences of how recording used to be as opposed to how it is now. Because it's like Rush, and he said that he said you didn't want to waste tape, and then two, he was saying that the more you recorded, the more hiss you would have, and your track would get muddier as you kept recording. He said so you didn't want to keep recording too many tracks, and he said here's another thing. He said performance. lacking now. He said because you had to come in. He said because tape is for performance. He said so you came in and you had to perform. And he said you perform and you recorded the performance. And he said so you didn't do too much rewinding because if you had to, like you were saying, it would make everything muddy.
Well, it didn't
Um,
just make everything muddy. You also had to be careful because you were magnetizing the tape head.
mm,
So you had to be careful of doing that too, because then
yeah,
after so often you had to remove the tape and then move the thing to demagnetize it and then continue to keep going. And then not to mention if you're right, the more that you kept recording over the tape, the more that you were just because you never completely wiped the tape out. There was still residue
right.
on that tape of what you're recording. But the thing that made tape good is because it had instant compression in it. You could glue things together because of
Mm,
that compression and saturation. Now you definitely could not. You have to be. You don't have like we talk about game staging with a tape. Man, you have to be there, but you can get a good sound, and it forced you to perform because if
yeah.
because I had a false takes R8 reel to reel,
Mm.
and you had to look. I mean, here go the real deal. If an artist came in there and just was jacked up, man, you was gonna be there all night because
Yeah.
singers don't get better in the session.
Mm.
Michael Jackson used to warm up for an hour and a half to sing for 30 minutes
Wow.
because they don't get better. So if I'm sitting up here and we ain't even got to the second verse and you like, you was cracking and stuff, man, it's over.
I hear you. Recording has really changed over time, definitely. We had a conversation offline where we were talking about making money in music and doing sync and things of that nature. Could you
Mhm.
share some of your thoughts on the importance of sync licensing and how producers can leverage it?
I want to go into sync license more so because while there are the whole thing with artists these days trying to get that and then getting all into the crooks and crannies of, hey, when do you get people to sign paperwork? When do you get them to do all that kind of stuff? Sync seems to be all about business. All that stuff is taken care of at the front. It ain't no, well, once this movie come out, we'll break you out something on the backside. No,
Mm-mm.
that movie's not getting released until all that paperwork is dressed. So I like the sync industry because it seems like it definitely has that aspect, and you're not limited. And the other thing is, I'll tell you, the big thing is that you can be unknown. I don't
Definitely.
have to walk around here and you know I always got to produce this. I don't want. I don't have. I want to be a producer, but I have no. I'm not trying to be like talk like Suge Knight, but I don't want to be all in the video stuff like that. I don't want to be nowhere near
I hear you. I hear you. I think it's an opportunity where you can be at home, you can work, and still build relationships and still get work done. I want to give some of the audience a tip. Go on Instagram and follow Sync Money. Follow Sync Money, SYNC Money, MONEY. Follow them. They'll talk about briefs. A brief is a description of what the commercial is like and what the music supervisor is expecting. So what they'll do is they'll tell you like maybe they want an R&B record from a female and it has to have this certain BPM and it has to speak about a certain scene. And I've seen some briefs 3,000, 6,000. One brief was like 10,000. But you got to go do your due diligence. Some of these companies want you to sign up, and when you sign up, you may have to pay a little fee. It's just the nature of the game. Um, be leery of some of the people that always want to buy a course or something like that. Some courses help and some courses don't, but we're trying to get to the bag. So build relationships. Learn about the pros and signing up for the performance rights organizations, learning about copywriting your music. We were having a conversation about that as well, about copywriting your music and making sure that you're protected in most cases for some of your music. But do your research. Go buy Michael. I think I have the book, Michael Passman's, Donald Passman. I'm sorry, Donald Passman's book, everything you need to know about the music business. And you got to really, it's not just, as they say there's music and then there's business. There's business is a bigger word than music. So I agree with you. It's an opportunity to make money. It can be a little bit gate kept, but once you get in, I've heard some great things. Um, what avenues do you see as the most promising for making money in music today, and how are you navigating these yourself?
Repeat that question again, just one more time. I'll make sure I've got it.
So, what avenues do you see as the most promising? We might have already addressed it, and for making music as a music producer, and how do you see yourself navigating that space?
I think music to sync is a great music to me. Music to sync gives the opportunity to do different things.
Mm,
But then there's just as far as like there's a business side of it. Um, and it's not so much of a promotion that goes along with it because you make the music or for the game or whatever it is, and somebody else is responsible for all that. Not saying you can't work in the music industry. Me, while I don't have while I want to work with artists, well, think about this. You just sit back and you talk about the briefs with me. You talked about some with 6,000, 8,000, and 10,000. We already know what up front we're talking about. In
mm,
this thing right now, unfortunately, because everybody, okay, let's go. And this is going to circle back to about the real to real stuff like that. A lot of people back then could not do music because it wasn't available. So if you were not good, because straight up, some of you music is not for you. That's one thing you're gonna have to be able to realize. Is it
mhm,
a hobby or do you have it in you to go to another level? And that is into full time doing this. All right,
mhm,
but anyway, you didn't just have an artist that could just jump up and do things. And so I think that now is that because it's so saturated and somebody's able to get a loop that when you start saying, okay, all this stuff, all this, the hours that you've spent learning your craft, and somebody says they want to give you basically $15 an hour, well, I can just go flip burgers and dip the fry basket for $15 an hour at the end of the day, no thought. So it's sometimes what I find that's frustrating with artists or people out there is that they want to buy low, but then when it's time for you to get something for them, oh, I gotta have at least about 5 stacks before I come in there and lay something down. Boy,
right,
you wanted a beat for 20, but you want 4 or 5 just to no,
right,
uh-uh.
right.
Mm-mm. So that's the thing. I'm not anti going out into that arena at all. Please, I want to make sure that's straight. It's just to a point for me. Um, I want to make the music, make it a good experience, and then get on. I don't want all the other stuff. And sync definitely has that though. There is gatekeeping, and that sync is just, hey, I know what the brief is. I know what it calls for. I own the copyright. I got the ASCAP, all that kind of stuff. I'm the writer. Boom, shoot it to you, done,
Right.
and you get the residuals.
That's cool. I'm gonna go to the chat real quick. We have Frank Khalif Murphy
What up? What up, Frank?
who says, "What's up, Mister?" and things of that nature, and Mister Billy D. Williams, smooth AF Carson. How y'all
What
doing?
up, bro?
What's
Doing
up,
great,
man?
bro.
He said, magnetizing the tape head. Pause. This guy. This guy. Um. Uh. Okay. So we've talked about your history. We talked about your
Mhm.
childhood, your musical influences. We've talked about church and that being a musical influence, school, playing for band.
Right.
We've also talked about the military, and you're doing a little bit of production in the military, but as well as the discipline and the pacing. We've talked about sync being a great area. We've talked about gear, your favorite instruments, things of that nature. I guess I did it again. Uh, so let's talk about your aspirations and your visions. How do you want to be revered and looked upon in the music industry, and what legacy do you hope to leave?
I want to hope to be considered as a competent music producer and businessman because
Hmm.
that's important. People need to respect you from the business aspect.
Right.
They don't respect that, then you're just sitting here talking, and then you're watching your money turn into butterflies. I'm not gonna do that.
Hmm.
Don't get me irritated. Whereas, like and having been a pilot, I mean, you can't just get up there and fly. You got a plan, and there's a lot of
Hmm.
planning that goes into it. You got to file a flight plan with the FAA. So
Hmm.
I'm all about that, making sure your paperwork and stuff is dressed basically on point. But I also want to be known as somebody that when you came in and worked with me, that you left with something, that it was therapy, that
Hmm.
it was, hey, you came in with one aspect of looking just to make something, but I was able to help you tap into something that you didn't even think about, or work through something that wound up bringing a better performance out of you, more inspiration, so that's what I want to be known for, is that, I went in there and I made the music and we did a great job and I made a lot of money, but that person made me a better. He was iron sharpened iron.
Definitely, definitely. Um, I guess my other question before we get to the last question, um, let's do this. Do you have a particular track you want me to play from your instrumental album?
You have played you have actually, I'm gonna pull it up real quick because I got to make sure I'm giving it to you. You actually played one of my tracks. What I enjoyed that you played was, which was
More than enough.
well, I'm saying when you played Retail Therapy, but hold on one second, I'll
Oh, I'm
bring
gonna
it
play
up
it
there to
again.
you. Um, I would say, um, you know, because I like them. um, Out of Time.
Out of time. All right, I'm gonna play it
Yeah.
right now. All right, everybody, we're gonna play "Out of Time" by DC Carson. This is his YouTube page. The links are in the description. The Spotify, the links is in the description as well. Please check him out. Support him. He's a musician, a session musician, an R&B singer, a music producer as well. Let's hear "Out of Time."
Yeah. That's what I was going for. I was going for, hey, this is the build up where it's the final thing of, hey, you know what? You were your partner was killed by a drug lord, and it's like I'm coming in here to get my revenge right now, or something to that effect of, hey, it's that time where you're out of time, you got to make this happen. So yeah, that's exactly what I was going for, and that's the thing. I think that we got to explore all that kind of those different things of you're gonna get in the sync license. I mean, I was watching a lot of Hallmark movies, not by and I was studying them because a lot of those songs that they have in there made like in June. They're filming in June and July, so around March, April, you need to be pitching that stuff. And so, basically, what I'm saying is that I like syncing because I don't have to be locked into something or a particular beat. I can do whatever it is I want to do, and I like to discover the different. When you look at different scenes, what's the emotion of that scene, or movies, what's the emotion of it? So that's where I'm going. Right. Well, think about how sync can make a song before you do that. Think about how sync. I'll give you one example of a song where sync and the movie it made it together, and it was back in the day. The song and the show, and it was Miami Vice, Coming in the Air at Night, Phil Collins. Yeah, it was. It was. Right, and the same. Right, and then here's another thing. We don't think of it as sync, but it really is sync. It just wound up being some above the rim and above the rim soundtrack. Come on, bass. Killing it. So that was the thing. A lot of the soundtracks and stuff like that, like the movie and like Boomerang, all that kind of stuff, we did it. So that's the power of sync right there in a nutshell. Well, one thing I want to correct that said I had the opportunity. I didn't wind up working with the Winans because God told me to go to this other church, and I was like, "What are you doing?" But it wound up turning out being the blessing. If I told you the whole story about where I was at a church service, and one of the Winans was associate pastor, and they asked me to come to church, and again it was BBCC. All these folks was there. And God, I was like, well, this is I had just got to Nashville. So I was like, well, I found my church. I'm finna sit here because there was a lot of artists in there. And like, nope, this ain't where you're supposed to be. And so I wound up going to to a church. But I will tell you, when I left that church, this girl had an accident, and they said that she would never walk again. And if she ever walked again, she'd walk in the limp. I remember going in there and God just saying, pray for her. And pray for her and tell her in 3 days she gonna get out the bed. She had been to bed for years. She had a bad accident. And I'm gonna go to the other stuff in just a second. I'm just sharing that. Sometimes God will redirect you. Anyway, man, I'm sitting there going, man, why am I saying this? This is crazy. If she don't get out of bed, folks will say I'm crazy. Anyway, 3 days later, got a call, 10 o'clock. She got out of the bed. Um, the- and a week after that, she was walking and she was doing stuff. You saw a lot of miracles and people's lives change. So I always say it's that be where you're supposed to be, not where you want to be. And it's the same thing with dating. As I move to it, it said be with the person that you're supposed to be with, not the person, because the person that you more likely the person you like is not good for you. What the person you need would always be good. Anyway,
Right.
maneuvering over into what I would tell you the folks to do is make the music. I don't care if you beatbox it into your phone. I don't care what it is. All phones have some type of music making device. Do it. I don't care if it sounds rinky dink. You need to do it. You need to. If you're a singer, you need to be singing on your way to work, back on your way home. If you are a rapper, you need to be writing and you need to be rapping in the shower when you're taking a, you know what, you whatever it is, you need to be absolutely constantly observed, taking advantage of every single moment because moments count. And it's just like playing football or basketball. The more reps, and again, the more quality reps that you get doing music, the better you're going to get. Don't just sit there. Let's say if you want to learn guitar, don't just sit there and just go through it. Do what I'm calling, I got a video about to come out on that called crawl, walk, run. Basically, slow it way down, do it. Then you can get to a walk where it's got a different cadence. Then you can run with it. But just slow down. You're not going to get this thing overnight. And even if you do get it overnight, you still will be missing something. So take your time, get valuable reps in, don't put undue pressure on yourself, and have fun with it.
Hmm. Yeah, I didn't know my volume was off, but I definitely agree. You know, they were someone was talking about. I forgot who it was. It was like, don't practice the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over. It was like after you practice something and mastered it, it's like move to something else, you know. And it's like the piano. Once you learn C scale, move to the D scale. After you learn the D scale, move to the dang, I feel like I should say pause. Move to move to the E scale. You know, always challenge yourself. Challenge yourself to do something different. You know, dang, I couldn't help that one. Oh, whew. Okay,
I will
so
say this though, and don't be
uh,
afraid to do it on bite size. Let's say, for example, one of the most iconic bass lines is "Forget Me Nots" for Patrice Rushen.
oh my goodness.
All right. So if you want to learn how to play that bass line, most people it goes ba-dum, ding, boom, bing, ba-dum, ba-dum, ding, ding, dum. Okay, so we got that pace. You don't start off at that pace because you're never gonna get it.
Right.
Because what'll happen is here's what will wind up happening. I've seen people rush it, and sometimes people that play live suck in the studio because
Mm-hmm.
if you can play it, but because you're so sloppy, because think about this. I'm playing live, so much stuff is drowning it out, let's say on the bass.
Mm-hmm.
But if I'm playing in the studio and I don't lift my fingers up, so I'm moving them across the strings, all that stuff is being picked up. Now I gotta
Right.
clean it up.
Mm-hmm.
So what you would do to do that, for example, is you would go and you would break it into pieces. You would go boom, 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 and if you don't get that smooth, slow it down. Boom, 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 and you might
Mm-hmm.
stay there for 6 weeks. But
Right.
guess what? The bottom line is that if you practice with good habits, you don't have to go back and out train the bad habits.
You're right.
So that's what I would say. Slow down and get it good. The C chord, learn to play it. Learn, go up and down. C D E F G A B C. Go up and down there, and with your look, it's videos on how to do your fingers.
Mm-hmm.
As far as playing the piano, because I wanted to get diddified on that one. But you can go up and down. No pause for that one. You can go
Woo.
up and down, and as far as playing the keyboards, and then it will just make you better. But
Mm-hmm.
slow down to go fast. You got to go slow to go fast with music.
Right. Right. That's what I was telling my daughter because she had started learning the scale and going real fast, and I was like, slow it down. You don't want your teacher to get upset. So, but and with one in church, this was what one musician told me. He said, "You really want to learn piano?" He said, "Sing with the piano." He said, "Sing as you're playing." He said, then he was talking about ear training. He was like, "Sing or hum or do something as you're playing the scale, hum the scale, and then you'll learn. You'll learn it faster because what he was just saying is you're learning muscle memory because now everything is linked with something that sound kind of like Aquila and the Bee when she would jump the rope or she would like tap herself when she would spell. Now you're applying a rhythm to what you're doing. And
Well,
I
you can't tell me that George Benson didn't play the guitar and do that same thing. That's not how he learned.
yeah,
But continue.
I never even knew until I was watching like a documentary where he was supposed to go play for Frank Sinatra, and they found out he couldn't read. He could play amazing, but he couldn't read. Now I don't know how true. I gotta go back, but that was something that I saw. It was something else I was gonna say, but I just forgot it that quick. But I do believe that if we want to advance, we have to learn something else. Unless you're gonna play the drum machine like an instrument, that became Dilla's instrument. He played it like an instrument. So I think that's the next progression. But and I'm gonna ask you this, and this is kind of going to be our last question. With everything being the way it is, streaming kind of like cannibalizing artists, the kind of like the scene as a whole, where music is now secondary to everything or the last thing. There's the entertainment, there's the conversations, there's the negativity, there's all that stuff, and then music sits in the back as the backdrop.
Right.
What do you think direction that people should go in if they want to advance and do something more than just sitting here and making music? What's the next progression?
Um, it all depends. Like I'm about music. I probably could eventually move up to where I could probably do sync publishing and stuff like that. I wouldn't be interested in that because I don't want to push papers. But I think one of the things, if you get really good with music, you may even I think one of the things that you even do, you teach it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think not just teaching it online and having an online presence, which there's a lot of phenomenal YouTubers out there that do it. But even to a point where if you were to package something up and license it, and even if you had a 501c that was music to take to kids and get them
Mm-hmm.
back to doing it. Because I mean, think about it. Back in our day, you know, um, we were playing sports or singing or doing music, so that kind of kept us out of a lot of things
Yeah.
we didn't need to get into. So
Yeah.
I think that as you get used to doing the music in the studio, um, you can look for other places to go out and talk about music, other places to actually network with other people as far as what their communities are doing. And that's a great question because a lot of times, you know, once you've made a bunch of music, that can be boring. Like, what do you do with it? And I think you
Hmm.
pass those skills down to the next generation.
Yeah. And I also think it goes back to something you talked about earlier, where you said that you went and got a marketing degree. Um, we got to know how to market ourselves. I often tell people I think performance is the next level. That's why I'm learning. I already started learning finger drumming, but I'm learning it again. Because I notice I've seen a lot of people when they're making their beats. If you can keep rhythm, and then you go from finger drumming, then you go from playing the piano, and then you go from all these VSTs. That speed and that dexterity. Once people start to see that you've learned a skill and you're getting better and good at it, then I've seen a lot of people pay more attention and their channels grow as well. But I also believe in keeping the musicianship of it as well, you know. But
So can I say something in that realm? One thing about like the MPC community, beatmaking community, is that I totally get it. You know that it's a tendency to, hey, hit put it where it's supposed to be, quantized at 100%. I get it. You can just
hmm
draw in notes, but understand, folks, is that things like ghost notes,
hmm
even with hi hats and kicks and uh, feel and not. Wonderful thing about MPC, the newer ones, is that you can shift. Like when you go into the quantize screen, you can shift the notes forward or backwards as far as quantizing. I never quantize at 100%. Sometimes I don't. Some stuff like when you hear most of my bass lines, I don't quantize them.
hmm
I play them until I get them right because folks, at the end of the day, is you hear this thing, humanize whatever it is, but a machine can't out human a human.
Okay.
Just like you can't out process that machine as far as you can out critical think it, but some stuff. So I would say challenge yourself sometimes, especially like on piano, to play with no quantize on it, but slow it
Yeah.
down. I always play with a metronome. And because what you want to think about it, how many albums did were let's take that song Scorpio, that sample people know as the Jingling Baby. Go ahead, but LL. Okay. The drums in it. You
Yep.
finger drumming and you using it, you can begin to develop what's called your pocket. We all know what a pocket is. If you don't know
hmm
what a pocket is, listen to James Brown's drummer. Listen to a lot of the Philly soul type of stuff. Those are
hmm
pockets. I'm just gonna have to go with that. Yep, let me grab that one. Hey folks, just side note, these things don't work great for they come out of my ear, but I'm gonna tell you why I have them and then shut up, and kick the ball back to you. I heard some engineers talking about using these to mix,
hmm
and I'm gonna tell you it works. Blew my mind. The AirPod Pros, you can mix because a lot of folks are listening to stuff like that this
Yes.
on there anyway. So
Yes.
anyway, that's just a nugget right there. But yeah, I would say playing in that musicianship and just getting to a point where you get away from the technology. And I do believe performance. That's why a lot of Jermaine Dupri talked about that. What was it? Brian Cott. And Jermaine Dupri said a lot of musicians came out to church back in the day. The
Yep.
energy is gone because kids are not playing in church.
Right. That's right. The musicianship. I always talk about how Rodney Jerkins talked about how he was playing in the church, and then he said after he finished, he left and made the boy his mind. He said, but the idea came from playing in church. One of the oh man, what is his name? Why am I forgetting? Gucci Man's producer. Goodness, I'm in his school as well. Um, he plays in the church. He said every Sunday. Every Sunday, he said Gucci Man would say, "Yeah, this is my producer." He's from the church. He said he used to hate for him to say that. He said, but then he realized that Gucci was bigging him up. as well as protecting them, telling them like don't mess with them and stuff like that. Teddy Riley came out of the church. You know what I mean? How many people did Teddy Riley influence? I also want to kick something back to you in terms of Babyface. When I found out that Babyface produced Rocksteady for the Whispers, man, I was blown away. Blown away. I was a little kid on Soul Train. Are you ready to rock?
Yeah.
I'm like, he produced that? I'm like, shoot. And it's just, I mean, Babyface, Jimmy Jam, and Terry Lewis, Prince, man, all those people. I mean, I even love. And then to come to find out that Sheila E. was the one that played the bottles on
Right.
Michael Jackson's "Off the Wall" and stuff like that. Was that "Off the Wall"? Don't stop till you get enough.
Right. Right.
So it's like music is just amazing, man. Hey, I want to thank you for coming on, man, and talking. I want everybody to like support DC as well. Go sign up at his YouTube page, DC Carson Music. Is on Instagram. I have all the links in the description, man. I really want y'all to support him. He makes great music, and he has some great. He's a session musician. You know, he's done a lot of things, and he's a producer and he's a singer. You know, we're gonna play that Retail Therapy again in a minute. What I want to also do is talk to everyone and say, if you want to be on the Music Producer Spotlight, I've just started a Discord, and the link is in the description. You can sign up at that Discord, and we can start having discourse and communicating and talking with one another about, you know, music and things of that nature. You know, like I said, this channel is not just about me. This channel is about helping people, giving them information, giving some people a platform as well where they can talk about their music, their projects, and things that they have going on. You know, of course, I'll be the ultimate selector, so I don't want anybody to get mad at me if you're not selected. But sign up at the Discord in the bottom. DC, thank you once again. I truly appreciate it for coming on and you taking time out of your busy schedule. I'm actually just looking things up right now. Let me show everybody real quick. This is Civil Days Music. This is my website where we sell sample packs and things of that nature. We will initially be having courses. You know, this is what I was talking about yesterday, y'all, when I said we're going to put these courses out there and get things working. Of course, it's going to be a discount, but I'm pushing the ball down the street. Pause. I'm pushing it. You know, we're stepping out on our dreams. We're stepping out on faith, and we're moving in a new direction. Let's get back and play Retail Therapy one more time. DC, thank you so much for coming on the show. I truly appreciate it. Here's Retail Therapy, everybody.
Things
indeed. Yes, indeed. That was good. Thank you once again. Thank you once again to the homie DC Carson.
Thank you, brother.
All right, everybody. I think we did our final last words. Everybody, y'all have a great one. This is the Music Producer Spotlight. Have a great rest of your week. Peace.